What is LIMUSA and which industry is it servicing?
Well, the Liberated Metal Workers Union of South Africa is a union that organizes in the metal industry. The scope is only limited to that. It does not go beyond that. But equally, I think we also need to, when defining LIMUSA, understand why is it being called the Liberated Metal Workers Union of South Africa. It is because metal workers at a very critical point during the time of, or at a very critical point in COSATU, where the future of metal workers was unknown. Metal workers identified themselves to be liberated in the sense that they understood COSATU as a trade union movement, which has carried out or which has represented the best interest of the working class across the years. And its historical, its history, its track record in history gives the basis of such. So I think we need to when discussing LIMUSA, we need to go beyond just saying it's a metal industry based trade union which organizes in the metal industry. But we should recognize the fact that it is a union formed by metal workers who identified themselves as liberated in believing in the cause of one trade union, one federation.
Now, within the metal industry, how are young workers responding to union matters and other worker-related issues? Are they responsive to becoming union members?
I think generally across all sectors, not only limited to the metal industry for that matter, the issue is that young workers are not really interested in trade unions. But just having it as general like that is also incorrect. Those who are actually not interested in trade unions is those that are qualified. But if you are to understand the metal industry, it has got a lot of semi-skilled workers, and only those who had completed perhaps their qualification up until matric, who would then work as operators, in petrol stations and so on. So those are then young workers who are actually interested in trade unions, understanding the type of oppression that they face at the shop floor on a daily basis. But then you have these intellectuals who then are resisting to join trade unions because they are claiming not to understand the need for trade unions. However, I think we should also highlight that over the years or in recent years, we are now starting to see a lot of young workers joining trade unions, which is positive. But a lot of young workers generally are still not in trade unions, especially in the metal industry.
Now, still staying on the issue of young workers, let's talk about the flat rate. What is a flat rate system and how did it come about?
Well, I think a flat rate system, in our view, firstly is a system that was created to try and give false figures in terms of the employment rate. But I think it is also a youth empowerment program gone wrong, in that a flat rate system is actually a system where you get employed, but you get trained first by a particular company in the metal industry, and that is where you actually find the system, the flat rate system. So you get trained by a particular company, perhaps to be an operator, and then after that, you get employed, but you are not permanently employed, nor are you temporarily employed. I'm saying that in this sense because when you are a flat rate temp, it is on the basis that you replace a worker when they are absent or when they are sick or when they are dismissed, suspended, and so on. So you can be employed for a period of a year, sign a contract for being employed for a period of a year, not even go to work once, and not even earn once. But then when it comes to employment statistics, you appear as employed. It's a very wrong system, but I think the intention was to try and empower young people and skill young people. It's just that it is an idea gone wrong.
Now, what is LIMUSA doing to make sure that its members suffer very minimal effects of this flat rate system?
No, in fact, we want this thing to be abolished entirely. It's a very cruel type of a system. It is in fact one of the reasons why young people cannot understand us, because it affects young people a lot. This is particularly a system that prevents you or prohibits you from being employed elsewhere, whereas you are unemployed under the disguise of being a flat rate temp, you know. So literally, it is just that thing of giving you a sense of being employed, whereas you are unemployed, because you still don't earn, you still don't go to work, but then it prevents you from even getting jobs elsewhere, you know, because you appear as employed. Or even when it comes to opportunities that needs unemployed people, programs, either be government programs or private sector programs, you cannot feature on those programs, particularly because you appear as employed. So we think that this system should be abolished. It is in fact the system that gives South Africa incorrect figures in terms of the unemployment rate, number one. But number two, it is a very exploitative system, you know. It frustrates young people, it frustrates workers, you know. I think the only thing that you can appreciate about this flat rate thing is that in a way it gives skills to young workers, but then you should also bear in mind that it would never give critical skills. It would give you those type of skills where you would be faced with the with the most harshest types of exploitation in the metal industry. Our position is that it should be repealed, it should be abolished. It is a system that should not exist in South Africa, honestly.
Now, are there any other campaigns that LIMUSA is currently working on that are of importance to the trade unions members?
Well, indeed, we have embarked on a recruitment campaign. And I think the campaign has actually intensified ever since COSATU's Red Friday campaigns, which is mainly focused on recruitment and servicing members. However, we've also embarked on international campaigns, such as our recent stance on Venezuela and our support, which is unconditional to the people of Venezuela and the struggle of Swaziland and so on. So in terms of recruitment campaigns, which you can classify as organizing campaigns, we've been doing a lot. In terms of international campaigns, we've been doing a lot. But then we're also about to launch campaigns which are aimed at capacitating members. By capacitating, we mean that politically capacitating them, but equally capacitating them in a sense that because now we're faced with technological innovation and technological change, to have them in a position whereby they would not face retrenchment due to them not having relevant skills of the changing industry, the so-called smart manufacturing, and to also make sure that our members generally are capacitated in all aspects.
Now, lastly, speaking of recruiting, are there any plans to focus more on young workers from LIMUSA?
Well, there is. In fact, the mere fact that we have, or LIMUSA is participating in COSATU Young Workers, and we have those young workers who, because you need to understand that besides being workers, young people are a strata, you know, and I think that is one of the reasons why we need to prioritize young workers, in that they are in transition, you know, they are generally just like any other young person, even though they are found within a class. So what we are planning to do, we are planning to not only not only recruit them, but we are equally planning to have campaigns that speaks directly to their issues as young people. I think that is one of the best ways in which we can capture young people into trade unions, so that they feel trade unions as relevant to them. We will be embarking on numerous campaigns. However, for now, we cannot actually announce any campaign because those are discussions that are still underway in the union. However, there is political and leadership will in the union to have campaigns that are focusing on